Good morning and welcome to the new episode to enable yourself become better today. We normally consider power as cohesive, compelling others to accept your will, your desire, your directions, and we overlook soft power. And soft power, let me tell you, is much more useful, helpful, and without ostentatious use of power, you get things done. And yet, soft power is very rarely used by the individuals. And that is because most of the people are unaware of the innate inherent power of the soft power. Now, what is soft power? How does it differ from the power as commonly perceived, and how to exercise it are the major points to be considered. As I said, usually we take power as particular kind of power, but there's another power, soft power, which we overlook. If power compels others to accept my will, and power convinces others, the soft power convinces others, not compels, convinces. There's a difference. Compulsion is replaced by convincing to join me in deciding what our will should be. If power steamrolls enemies, soft power sees every current opposition, every enemy as a future friend. Power seeks to change others. Soft power looks to change with them. It's a mutual. And some of the people I have seen make these successful, extremely successful, in inclusivity efforts. Because they don't choose hard power, they use soft power. I've seen people who don't have the job titles that give them authority, and yet people who work with them carry out their directions, their wishes, much more in a better acceptance manner, I'll call it, and much more willingly than given by the orders. And I've seen them, that people working along with them don't feel compelled to do something. They do say, yes, it should be done, because they listen to him. So instead of imposing their individual will, these people get that rare and precious chance to work with a communication. So most important part of soft power is communication, second is compassion, and third is compromise. And in these days of DEI, because if you want to be powerful, you have to be expert in DEI. And DEI means diversity, equity, inclusion. And in DEI, it's not the hard power, it's not the force of baton, which is important, it is persuasion. So when it comes to your DEI strategy, are you spending a lot of time thinking about what you don't have? And if you're thinking that way, you are wrong. Because what you don't have is not important. What you have is important. And convinced that you might not have that power of command which grants you success. If you use soft power, you would increase your chances of being successful manifold. Now, facing your obstacles, which you're going to face everywhere in your life, whether it's a social life or your family life, and whether it's your professional life, your work, your customers, do you wish you had the positions, resources, or personalities that would make you unstoppable? Yes, of course. But do you fear that your initiative will fail because you lack power? Of course. So why if you take a second look, these restrictions that keep you from your goals might precisely be the things that drives others to their success. Maybe the limitations that undermine your force to overcome opponents are the same thing which can help you buy in from them. Earn it. In the end, if you feel powerless, you might have to face exact humility, patience, and collaborative spirit needed to the time. So why not exercise it, and with compassion, convincing, communication, and compromise, increase your soft power. So how do you exercise soft power? This is a major question. Now once we have identified what soft power is, how do you exercise it? Soft power can achieve inclusivity when other tactics fail absolutely. So here are a few tips. First, ask questions, but ask them right away at the beginning. Don't wait till you are facing a stone wall. Ask questions early. I have seen people, leaders, come up with plans in vacuum when they try to convince people to support it. The latest thing is what happened in India. The government came up with an excellent idea of helping the farmers, and yet they went on a protest for more than a year, and ultimately government had to surrender. Government lost face, and this was because the government had failed to ask questions. So thinking what we are looking for input from others, what happens? We usually just seek approval for some decisions we have already made. And therein lies the failure. Fight the search. Instead of getting an agreement for a plan you have already finalized, get feedback on how to form the plan in the first place. So get the feedback so that the people are involved. And when they are involved, they have a sense of participation. And they will support it even if they know that this goes against their interest. To achieve this, ask for thoughts. Thoughts much earlier than they could even imagine. And even from the people you don't think they have anything to add. There might be employees in your organization, your subordinates, who don't have to add anything. There might be a stenotypist or a computer operator who doesn't have to do with it. But if you say, what do you think about this idea? You would find that he might talk to his associates. And that communication would be much faster when coming to a person who's not involved. So ask questions early, long before you think you are the beginning of an answer. Start before you start thinking. Begin when you are more likely to listen to what others have to say. What happens is we start cherry picking for sound bites. And we cherry pick those sound bites which make us feel good and make us feel that we are right. And that is the failure of soft power. So to increase transparency, invite people to be part of the process from the beginning. Doing so, soft power gives people greater ownership, and that ownership makes them feel involved right from the start. And then they'll be at your beck and call. Second tip, focus on how, not why. Many inclusive efforts center the argument about the state of reality. They are focused on what? Many spend their time trying to make philosophical assertions, trying to prove the previousness of things, like bias, privilege, microaggressive. So concentrating on why enables others to use their energy and whip up arguments. So don't think of why, think of how. If you think you don't have the power to make theoretical arguments, Don't forget the benefits of how questions. I found this how extremely useful in all my life, whether it was in teaching, whether it was in corporate life, whether it was in strategy formulation and implementing. So, how can we make our organization more inclusive? How can we foster a deeper sense of belonging? How can we do this? The moment you say how, the people feel that they have something to contribute. And this gives people enough ammunition to give appropriate answers. They also feel free and emancipated. And even if you say your company is inclusive enough, give them the ownership, or they might make it a better situation, which may be good, still better, and the better being still more better. So some confront others to try and prove a point. But soft power works with others to improve conditions. Now here's another difference. Improve conditions, not your points. Now third thing, incorporate opposition. Do not think that whatever you think is ultimate. My way or highway is never the only way. Many times you have got to do it. And I've seen many people confuse unity with uniformity. Uniformity is deadening. Convinced of their authority, many people rest on unanimous agreement. So what they do? They avoid, ignore, and even stamp out disagreement. Because they are in power, they say we can avoid it, we can ignore it, we can stamp out. No, but soft power involves them, invites them. How? And what is the end result? So while power sees resistance as something to be defeated, soft power sees it as something to be incorporated. Instead of seeing dissent as an obstacle to be overcome, see it as an opportunity to be absorbed. Every middle manager who has heard that DEI is a reverse discrimination, every team member who thinks it's a great idea, but he has no idea where he will find time to implement it, every board member, even at the board of directors, who worry that discussing social groups compromises financial stability, these forced contradictions become very important and necessary counterpoints. So, incorporate their opposition, explain to them, compromise, as I said, communicate, convince, compromise. And rather than assuming that you must use your plan A to defeat their plan B, find ways to fuse the two plans into plan C that you alone could not have thought, but those who are opposing, either volubly or silently, even silent opposition is there, and if you incorporate that points of the silent opposition, you would find you would be better. And once you are better, your plan is better, the success is guaranteed. So instead of going for plan A to defeat plan B, bring in fusion. Fuse plan A, plan B, and come out with plan C. Now what will happen? The opponents will see that it's their plan, because some plans, ideas are theirs. And by yourself, you have increased your efficiency and your acceptance as a leader. And the result is benefit of the organization, benefit of the country, wherever you are, and the group. So next time you think that your command is likely to fail because you don't have power, other people don't listen to it, look for the ways to exercise this soft power. And let me tell you once again, these few tips I have given you would enable you to use soft power that is most effective, more sustainable, and more inclusive. As a matter of fact, I always say that soft power is a power that you can harness, no matter where you are standing. You might be at the top of the ladder, you might be at the lowest rung of the ladder of power. But if you use soft power, and that's why even in the international political arena, we have seen countries nowadays concentrate on soft power. China does it too, penetrating the educational institutions and the cultural institutions. And that's making them the world leader. So if it can be successful in politics, you can be sure it can be successful in your business. It can be successful in your personal life, in your social life, in your professional life. And this power will give you real power. People will look to you as a leader, not as an autocrat. They'll think that what you're doing is in their interest, and they'll give you unstinted support. And that will make you really powerful. Thank you.